Mr. Upton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to reduce emissions of carbon and promote the development of clean energy, whether it be clean coal using carbon capture, whether it be increasing renewables like wind, solar, and hydro, and certainly to turn the switch back to green on nuclear, creating tens, if not hundreds of thousands of good-paying jobs. We know that our country is going to require 30 to 40% more electricity in the next 20 years, and we know that we haven't put a new nuclear reactor online in the last 20 years and not a new coal plant in the last couple. I returned from Michigan this morning. Our economic woes are well known. Every one of my counties has double-digit unemployment, and our state average could well hit 20% by the end of the summer. One of Michigan's largest utilities, DTE, has 1 in 3 customers today in arrears with perhaps a $400 or $500 million in uncollected bills for the year. Folks don't want a handout to help pay their bills. They want a job and they want a paycheck to send their kids to college, to pay their bills, and to save for retirement. Mr. Chairman, I care a lot about American jobs in our global climate, and from the start, I've said that climate legislation should adhere to 5 principles. 1, provide a tangible environmental benefit to the American people. 2, advance technology and provide for opportunity to export. 3, protect American jobs. 4, strengthen U.S. energy security. And 5, require global participation. We've heard story after story that this cap-and-trade scheme, if it sticks, by design increasing costs for employers in this country, there will be even more incentives to close up shop here and move someplace else. Whether it be China, India, Brazil, you name it, where they don't have anywhere close the environmental regulations and set up shop there. China admits we know 3 times the amount of carbon per ton of steel produced at U.S. facilities here. What good is there for the planet to shift production from the U.S. to China? China is bringing a new coal plant online virtually every single week. Does anyone here think that they have the same requirements that we do? I support renewables, but a question we've asked over and over is, where is the legislative language to connect wind and solar to the grid? And as we look to what is counted as renewable, where's hydro? Shouldn't existing hydro count, and why is it so hard to bring new hydro online? Why is it that France can have nearly 9% of its electricity generated from nuclear, greenhouse gas emission free, by the way, and take only 5 years from start to finish for a new plant, while we can't get barely above 20%, and it takes us 8 to 10 years? And in this 1,000-page bill that was released last week, nuclear is referenced only on twice, page 23 and page 351. France, China, Spain, the UK, India, the rest of the world, they can all get nuclear increased production, and we've been unable to. And by shutting down nuclear, we've actually flipped the percentage of domestic content. That's right. What once was 85% of the components produced in this country for a new nuclear facility is now 85% from someplace else. I'd like to vote for a bill, not only in this committee, but also on the House floor. But this version doesn't pass the test. John Engler, the new president of NAM, said that the enactment of this legislation could indeed lead to a permanent recession. I agree. The last thing that our economy needs right now is higher costs on consumers that in the Midwest could increase utility bills by perhaps 40 to 50%. The further leakage of jobs is certain without global participation, and the record is clear that the largest emitter of all, China, can hardly wait for us to pass this bill. I intend to support constructive amendments and to fix the bill. The Senate voted 67 to 31 last month to reject cap and trade as part of the budget, and I would hope that we might be able to do the same. In closing, the American people deserve to know and understand the scale of the emission reductions being called for in this bill. Under this act, the U.S. cannot emit more in the year 2050 than we emitted in 1910. Consider that in 1910, the U.S. had only 92 million folks compared to an estimated 420 million by 2050. In 1910, per capita income in current dollars was about $6,000. To reach the lofty goal of 83% reduction, emissions from the entire transportation sector would have to drop to 0, emissions from all electricity generation would have to drop to 0, and then we'd still need to reduce the remainder by 50%. I'm not sure that this will fly with the American public. Yield back. I just have a unanimous consent request to put Mr. Boyer's statement into the record as well.
Without objection, that will be the order. Thank you, Mr. Upton.